Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. I'm going to read through the full article here. We'll have a very quick look at a second article in regards to the same subject. Two, there is a link in the description. This incident is horrific and tragic, and it occurred a few days ago, so you might well be aware of this case. But I guess this is perhaps of interest to those that aren't so far aware of this case, and there's also a little bit of additional information that's come out more recently. A mother, 25 years of age, has been decapitated with a samurai sword outside of her home in the Bay Area, San Carlos, California, in front of horrified witnesses. Who did this killing? Well, an ex-boyfriend, the name Jose Solano Landaeta, who has been arrested. What do we know about Jose? Well, it's been confirmed that he's an illegal immigrant with an expired visa. There he is. There's the scumbag. He decapitated his ex-girlfriend, Karina Castro. There is Karina. He's not even allowed in the country. He decapitated his ex-girlfriend, Karina Castro, in front of a crowd of witnesses outside of her home, San Carlos, California. So as I say, this happened a few days ago. We're going to have a look through the details more specifically. A mother of two was beheaded with a sword outside her Bay Area home in broad daylight in front of terrified neighbors. The boyfriend, or rather ex-boyfriend, Jose Solano Landaeta of Hayward, California, was arrested for allegedly using a sword, a samurai sword, to decapitate the 25-year-old Karina Castro. Jose, the ex-boyfriend, allegedly left the scene after the horrific killing, but then he returned minutes later whilst cops were on the scene. The victim granted a temporary restraining order against him in April. So seemingly he was, I'm going to say, violent or harassing of the victim. He was, previously, there was a restraining order against him. I don't know the full nature of what that restraining order would be, but I presume it would prevent him from being close to the victim, to be within a certain distance of the victim. And certainly, by all accounts, he broke that and went further to murder with a samurai sword the 25-year-old victim, Karina Castro. Officers said the victim was the mother of two girls, 7 years of age and 1 year of age. Thankfully, those two children did not witness the crime. The incident happened in the middle of the street and in broad daylight on Thursday morning, so a few days ago. Witnesses watched as their neighbor was slain. A witness said the head was underneath the car and she was laying in the back of the car with her head severed. Officers were apparently at the scene within minutes of the murder, which took place at around 11:50 a.m. They found the ex-boyfriend as well as two friends returning to the victim's home. The ex-boyfriend was quickly arrested. Here's a quote from one of the officers. After he cut her head off, he came walking up, him and his two friends, and they walked right by me and they arrested him. He was hurt, shocked, disappointed. Okay, apparently the police are still looking for the sword. I'm not sure if that's still the case. And that's pretty much all we know. I mean, this second article tells us that he is an illegal immigrant. His visa had expired. Is that a significant aspect? Is that a relevant aspect? Does that anger you? Should such details be mentioned? I mean, to me, I'm not sure how relevant that is, to be honest. To be honest with you, I'm not a fan of illegal immigration. I am not. And this guy clearly is a psychopath, allegedly. I would imagine if somebody is able to decapitate anybody, then I would imagine, my guess would be that they're a violent person, obviously, and I would imagine that they are a career criminal. So, two and two together, my take on it would be that this is an illegal immigrant, and he was remaining in the area in California, probably to continue crime, his career of crime. That would be my guess, complete speculation. He walked up to the officers with two friends. I mean, what? The friends were still friends with the guy after he decapitated his ex-girlfriend? I mean, what is wrong with these people? Apparently there was a history of domestic violence. As we mentioned before, there was a restraining order against the ex-boyfriend. And that's pretty much all we know. The police are calling for any witnesses to come forward. But to me, to be honest with you, it seems a little bit academic. Clearly, there are enough witnesses. They arrested the guy on the scene. I would think that they have enough evidence to make sure that this guy is incarcerated, of course, at the taxpayer's expense. But, you know, that's the system, isn't it? So I'm going to wrap things up here at this point. Of course, full condolences to the victim and the victim's family. Her two daughters, 1 year of age and 7 years of age. Thankfully, they didn't witness the attack, the murder of their mother. However, plenty of neighbours did witness the events. One of the neighbours, as we say, saw Karina's decapitated head, severed head, under the car. Her body slumped in the back seat of the car, if I remember. It was just absolutely terrible. And I mean, is it shocking? Like, it ought to be shocking, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting numb to this because I'm reading through so many of these articles. I'm not entirely shocked. We've seen decapitations. We've seen it. You know, I've got half a dozen cases pop up in my head. I can't remember where they stem from. In France, in Paris, I believe. Let's say a year ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago, a teacher was decapitated. It was said that one of his students accused him of having said something which was considered haram or Islamophobic or something, and the student's father, I believe, if I recall, the student's male relative went to the school, beat up the teacher, cut his head off, paraded it in the streets. Turned out that the student was lying and that the teacher didn't say anything bad at all. I remember some other incidences of like a mother carrying a child's head. I can't remember if that was in America. I think it was. You know, so I don't know. I'm becoming numb to these decapitations. That in itself is not enough to shock me. Am I supposed to be shocked about there being illegal immigrants in California? No, that doesn't shock me. You guys in America, I don't want to get too political on this channel in particular, but you guys have a border problem. You know, you do. You have had for quite a while. You've got a gang problem. I just made an article about the Safety Act in Illinois. Within that article, it mentions the growth of the cartel influence. One of the cartels in particular in the Illinois the state of Illinois in Chicago, the flooding of the area with drugs, the influence of the cartels and developing the gangs within that area. So I'm not shocked about the gang element, if that is indeed an element. What am I shocked by? I'm not shocked by a woman, a mother, being in a relationship, even though it's an ex-boyfriend. She was in a relationship with a violent man. I mean, I don't wish to blame the victim, particularly in this case. I'm always reluctant to blame the victim, but she did what she could. Whatever the right term is, but she applied for a restraining order back in April. It was granted back in April. So she had done what she could to move away from this scumbag, from this psycho. She had done what she could, and she was effective in having a restraining order put in place. But I guess that perhaps these violent criminals don't pay too much attention to restraining orders. I guess that's part of the problem. So maybe we do have to once more remind women, particularly mothers, to be careful with who they engage in relationships with. Don't hook up with violent men. Don't do it. Sure, they might be exciting, you might find them attractive, they might be in a position to provide financially, but violent men are going to be violent, and sooner or later that might well befall the woman involved in the relationship, or it might befall the woman's children in the relationship. And in this case, it led to the woman, Karina Castro, 25 years of age, a mother of two, being decapitated. I feel like I'm going in circles at this point, so of course full condolences to the family of the deceased, Karina Castro, and full condolences to the children. I'm not aware of a GoFundMe. I would presume that would be relevant in this case. If you guys are aware of one, feel free to drop a comment. I'll try to post a link, etc. But I'll wrap things up at this point, guys. Take care.